China is investigating alleged naked loan sharks who try to go after female college students who can't pay for their education. And so they ask them, or demand, I should say, naked pictures of them as collateral in case they don't pay their debts. So let me give you the details on this, and it was reported by The Guardian. Under the agreement, some college students have agreed to send photos of themselves naked, holding their identification cards to potential lenders. In exchange, they became eligible for higher loan amounts, 2 or 5 times the normal sum. The loan scheme is taking place on JD Capital's website. I cannot pronounce that word. It's a platform where individuals, often friends and acquaintances, can lend or borrow money, striking their own agreements. So it's everyday people who are loaning money to other individuals. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bank. But then problems come up when you need some sort of collateral or some sort of way to make sure that this person pays you back when you loan them money. Well, some people are taking advantage of the system and they're using naked pictures as collateral. And so they charge these insane interest rates, and these young girls, or women, I should say, that are going to college don't really know what they're getting themselves into. And so before they know it, they owe way more than they expected to owe. And they're being threatened by these people who are saying that they're going to put the naked pictures up online if they don't pay right away.
Imagine being so poor that you want to better yourself, you want to better your family, you want to get a college education and you can't pay for it, so you need to take a loan. And then these people take advantage of that by asking you to send a naked photo as collateral. It's how do you not moderate that? Like, how do you face your investors? How are you an investor in JD Capital and you say, this is fine, like in the quarterly report where they're like, yeah, there's this issue that keeps coming up where some of the private loaners are asking for naked photos. Like, how do you not moderate that in any way?
What they're saying is that because it's part of a private trade deal,
Yeah.
that's something that they I agree with you, but that's their standpoint, is that it's a private deal. They're not involved in it at all.
What if it's a private deal where, no, I understand that, but what if it's a private deal when they're like, you're going to have sex with me and then I'll reduce your interest rate? That's illegal.
Well,
they should moderate that. In that instance, you can't go ahead and say, sorry, it's a private deal. You can't do that.
Okay, so JD Capital is now trying to backpedal from their original statement. Their original statement was, hey, you know what? We're just providing the platform for these people to do their loans, and we're not part of any of that. But you know, if you're providing a platform for that type of illegal activity that exploits people sexually, well, that's when things start getting really tricky, you know? So that's, I don't know how it's going to play out for them, but they've kind of backed out of that statement and, you know, claimed a little bit of responsibility recently, but they're not claiming full responsibility. One thing that I wanted to mention, though, is, yes, what's happening in China right now is disgusting with these loan sharks. But we have similar loan sharks here in the U.S., right? And so we have payday loans. We have, you know, these places where you go to, you don't know what to do, you can't feed your family, you're late on bills, and so you need a pay advance. You go there, and what do? You give them your car title as collateral, and they charge you insane interest rates. In some cases, the interest rate is 300, 400%. Oh my. Yes. And so Elizabeth Warren, who is amazing, of course, has been going after these American loan sharks. And so there needs to be more regulation to protect the consumer, because what they do, and some of you might say, well, if you don't want to be taken advantage of, don't go to the loan sharks. But it's not that easy. Some people are so incredibly desperate that they have no choice.
Yeah,
and so there needs to be, exactly, medical debt is an example.
It's a huge factor where people can't become a part of the system because they just have a tremendous amount of medical debt, which ruins their credit. So all of a sudden, you can't go to a bank and get a credit card and act like any other normal citizen that is sitting at home thinking, well, don't just take out a loan. Like, what's wrong with you? Work harder. Like, it's easy to be insensitive, but you need to think about why these people take these steps. Why are you taking such crazy loans on such high interest? Because you have no other option.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it's a good comparison. Why are we talking about this story and not what, you know, Elizabeth Warren has been pointing out and speaking out against? Because this is sexy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the unfortunate thing with where we are. with regards to what is making news. This is making headlines because this is a sexy story about the kind of collateral. But you're right, it really isn't any different than a car title. But car title isn't fun when you can say naked loans.
It's a little different. This is
It's
so
different
personal.
on a personal level,
Yeah.
but what they're actually doing isn't so different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
no, I understand.
mentality
The idea-
behind it,
yeah.
the
Shady.
blackmail sort of sleazy lending thing.
And look, I get the idea of taking something as collateral, right? You want to ensure that you lower the risk of loaning out this money as much as possible. I get that. But what's happening in both cases, in the United States and in China, is they're specifically exploiting people that are in disastrous situations by charging them way too much in interest.
That won't know any better.
And so
And then if they can't pay their debt, then they sell it off to another company, making money on top of that debt. It's like phantom money. John Oliver did a really good report on this, by the way, guys. If you haven't seen it, check that out. If you want to see like how shady loan practices are in America as well, not just China.